Welcome, NFL football fans. It's that time again, time for another edition of NFL Football Talk. I'm your host, Charles E. Smith Jr. This is our first show of the 2016 NFL season due to various different, injuries, ailments, and everything else. But here we are. We're going to be with you every single week from now throughout the playoffs. And as you know, I do not work alone. I do only enlist the very, very best. And so let me go ahead and introduce him, the man many of you already follow on Twitter at Chris L. Sports. And if not, you should be. He's just a fantastic read all the time. A proud graduate of Rutgers University, and here he is from somewhere in an undisclosed location in beautiful Southern California. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Lardieri. Chris, what's happening out there, man?
Charles, it's great to be back, not only for our fifth season together, but finally get the ball rolling on this season. As you said, we're all back in one piece.
Yeah.
The illnesses and ailments have passed us, but ready to give it a go. And, season 5 here, and it was odd Sunday having an actual NFL team playing in Los Angeles. We've been talking about it for years. Kind of surreal to see it.
Yeah. Definitely. And everybody knows if you're watching, not just listening, I do have my USA hat on right now. And, just to give a little support for this great nation of ours, we're going through some turmoil with the whole thing with Colin Kaepernick, the National Anthem, the other players jumping on board, the unrest in Charlotte. And really, I try to keep the show all about sports and not about those periphery things. But every now and then, something happens and we really kind of have to acknowledge it. Talk about all the injuries. I mean, Julio Jones down with a calf injury, and then the Minnesota Vikings losing Teddy Bridgewater for the season in preseason. Now they beat the Packers. Then the next game, lose Adrian Peterson long-term, lose Matt Khalil, one of their best offensive linemen long-term. As it's just piling up. Amir Abdullah out for the Detroit Lions. Thomas Rawls for the Seahawks. The injuries just keep on going on and on. With all the training and techniques and everything, but it seems like the injuries just keep piling up year after year, even worse than the year before. But good news is we haven't heard a lot about concussions. Yeah,
absolutely. It looks like that's been mitigated other than opening night on that Thursday with Cam Newton and the cheap shot in front of the ref and then no concussion protocol being followed. But I'm sure the NFL will get to the bottom of that eventually. But, what's interesting is I heard a stat that, year over year through 2 weeks, injuries are down slightly. I just think that it's more of the big-name players are getting hurt, the skill positions. It looks like this year running back is the one area that seems to be hamstrung, and then you get like a fluke injury with DeMarcus Ware breaking his forearm when Von Miller collides with him. So you're always going to have those sorts of things. But I just think it's a function of two things. These guys don't do as much hitting in training camp under the new collective bargaining agreement. And then the other thing is everyone's bigger, stronger, and faster, and the collisions are harder, or even and with some of these non-contact injuries, like the unfortunate one for Keenan Allen, it's like things snap like rubber bands, it seems like nowadays.
Danny Woodhead is out, too. That reminded me, the whole Keenan Allen thing. That reminds me, Danny Woodhead for the Chargers, done for the season, ACL. So, the list just keeps on going on and on. I'd go on with it, but it's a little bit depressing. I want to talk about the game. I want to talk about the games coming up. So let's go ahead and talk a big AFC matchup. The Denver Broncos in Cincy to take on the Bengals. Last season they played. Broncos won 20-17 in overtime. Broncos seem like with Trevor Siemian, they haven't skipped a beat. The Broncos defense is dominating. Cincinnati needs this game. Mr. Lardieri, how do you see it?
I can never seem to get the Bengals right. I thought they'd go into Pittsburgh last week and win. I was wrong. So instead of trying to time me up and down, I'll stick with them again. I think their first home game of the season, Dalton will play even though he's been banged up. I feel like in these games where you kind of doubt them, they go and surprise you and they should win. And I completely agree. Great point about them missing Sanu and Jones, but they still got A.J. Green. The defense is still aggressive, and at the end of the day, I know you're going to hate me for saying this, but I'll take Dalton over Trevor Siemian any day of the week. See it being close, maybe a 17-14 low-scoring type game with the Bengals prevailing.
Well, I just look at Denver, and even without DeMarcus Ware up front, and he was kind of, he's in the twilight of his career right now anyways, but that defense and the way they played, the way they beat up on Indy last week, Miller with another strip sack when they really needed it. The defensive backfield, the way they're playing with Aqib Talib, who is, I don't know, sipped from the fountain of youth or something, but the defense is swarming. They beat up on Cam Newton in the first week, beat up on Andrew Luck in the next week. Week 3, it's just Andy Dalton. Come on, this is Denver all the way. I got the Broncos.
Your anti-Andy Dalton theme is just growing tired. You got to give the guy a break.
Okay, and then let's go ahead and jump over to the NFC. And really, this is an old-school matchup. Really needs no build-up whatsoever. NFC East, Washington Redskins sitting at 0-2. They're going into the Meadowlands. They're going to play the New York Giants. Giants at 2-0. Giants seem to be rolling. This Redskins, right now, this is the critical mass point right here. Sitting at 0-2, playing a division rival. If they go to 0-3, it would seem to be, things would be over. Are we going to see a quarterback controversy? I don't know. But the Giants, I like the way they're playing. They're hitting on all 8 cylinders. This is going to be a desperate Redskins team coming in here. I think it's going to be a good game, but really, I got to go... This is the Giants. They've shown they can close out games, which they couldn't do last season, which led to me losing the pick segment because they lost so many games in the fourth quarter. But anyways, they're holding those leads now. Washington seems to be in turmoil. I'm going to love to see Odell Beckham going up against Josh Norman, but really it comes down to the complementary receivers. I got the Giants all the way in this one.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I do feel it'll probably be closer than it should be. Somewhat like the Saints game last week, but for all the reasons you stated. And
righty, so we agree on that one. And then the last game we're going to pick here, Pittsburgh Steelers in Philadelphia to play the Eagles. Now, just a little interesting tidbit here. The Steelers have not won a game in Philadelphia since 1965. How about that? Not since 1965. Although this year, both teams are off to a good start. And Carson Wentz, who actually went second in the draft this year, he's starting for Philadelphia, and he's playing well, but now going up against the vaunted Steelers defense and all the tradition. Here you got this rookie quarterback, the Battle of Pennsylvania. This should be a good game here. Great interconference game. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I'm really impressed with the Eagles so far, and it pains me to say that. Mainly because Howie Roseman, much maligned for trading up to the number 2 pick, not knowing what quarterback he was going to get. Well, he knew he was going to get. He knew the Rams were going to take off, and he was chomping at the bit to get his hand on Carson Wentz. And I know it's only 2 weeks in, but the guy looks like an NFL quarterback. Came from a good program at North Dakota State that just beat Iowa, by the way. But not only that, then with Wentz playing so well, he deals Bradford to the desperate Vikings for a first-round pick. So. A little early, but he might be one of the front runners for Executive of the Year. The Eagles have played well, even on the defensive side of the ball. I think they look a lot better. Ryan Matthews is kind of rejuvenated, but let's face it, they have not played anyone that good. The Browns and the Bears are far from offensive juggernauts, and their defenses are pretty weak, and I think the Steelers are going to possess much bigger problems on both sides of the ball. Good luck stopping Antonio Brown. Good luck stopping D'Angelo Williams, who's really kind of had a second wind here with the Steelers, filling in for Le'Veon Bell. And I think it'll be a good game, but eventually the Steelers pull away. They've just got too many weapons on offense, and their D's really playing well these first 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think so. And, the Steelers, I think they're getting back to last year. I'm sure if you talk to the Steelers, probably every man on the roster thinks they could have gone to the Super Bowl last year, so they've got that playing for them. They're playing a little bit angry this year. So I agree the Steelers keep on rolling. And one of those things we didn't mention, although you brought up the Browns, so it reminded me, with injuries, the Browns, they start RG3 in the first week. He's out with an injury. Josh McCown starts the next week. He's done with an injury. So this week, Cody Kessler will get his first start for the Cleveland Browns. We're used to them changing quarterbacks, but 3 quarterbacks in 3 games and all out due to injury. Well, we'll see what happens with Kessler, but Cleveland Browns, just to put a capper on it, we're not going to pick that game when they play Miami, but man, you talk about a team that just can't catch a break. Everyone but Minnesota feels sorry for them.
Yeah, they're just really hamstrung, and besides that, look at what their front office has done, trading away whatever valuable parts they still have left. So we knew this was going to be a long season. It just got a lot longer.
Okay, there we go. So everybody, just to recap the picks of the week, we split on Denver and Cincinnati. I'm going with Denver, while Chris is putting his money on the big redhead. And then with the New York Giants and the Redskins, we both taking the Giants. And then the Pittsburgh Steelers in Philadelphia to play against the Eagles. We both take the Steelers to get their first win in Philadelphia since 1965. So remember, follow me on Twitter at The Inside Sports. Follow Mr. Lardieri on Twitter at Chris L Sports. Remember, every single week we'll bring it here. I'm Charles E. Smith Jr. My partner there is Chris Lardieri. The show is NFL Football Talk. This is an Inside Sports production. Thank you for joining us. Enjoy the games this weekend. We'll see everybody next week.